Of course, when we read chapter 1, verse 4, we find that, you know, God is also talking about the ungodly, but our concern is not about the ungodly. Our concern is about the righteous ways, the ways that we are supposed to live, and God things that we're supposed to do. So it is not about what others are doing, whether they are doing the wrong thing. We don't want to follow that, but all we want to follow is to follow God's word. So we'll read again, this time Psalm 92, verses 12 and 14 says, "The righteous shall flourish like the palm tree. He shall grow like a cedar in Lebanon. Those that be planted in the house of the Lord shall flourish in the courts of our God. They shall bring forth fruit in old age. They shall be fat and flourishing." So you can see what God is saying here, that when we follow Him, when we obey Him, when we do His will, when we are righteous, when we are holy. So a righteous person is somebody who has committed himself, who has surrendered his life to Christ, who has dedicated his life to obeying. Anyone who is ungodly, anyone who is in the world, anyone who has not submitted himself to Christ, cannot be considered righteous. We are justified, as you know, we all know from God's word that Christ, through his shed blood, has made it possible for us to enjoy the benefit and the blessings of being cleansed and justified and sanctified by his blood on Calvary's cross. So here we see this wonderful passage. Again, the righteous shall flourish like the palm tree. So if a palm tree is being considered as a tree that flourishes, and then he shall grow like a cedar in Lebanon. That's also something that we know, and we all hear. Even King Solomon's time, we have cedar, and it was growing, and it was already he had to actually gain from it. So what we know is that when we are righteous, when we are following God's word, we can expect to receive all the benefits and the blessings that we need in every area of our daily life. So it is God's desire that He would prosper us and give us all the blessings that we need, and that we shouldn't worry about what others do. All that we need to be concerned is that are we, is our righteousness up to the level that God requires. And one of our hymns says, I need not lack, I think I'll read what it says. It's also encouraging. The hymn says, I need not lack. It's the message. It's very good. It says, when someone is righteous, someone has made their desire to live a righteous life, so the righteousness that God expects, it's already, God is going to do His work in that person's life. So in this case, it says, I need not lack for inward power to live a righteous life, for God is with me every hour to help me in the strife. So anything that may happen, and then it says, I need not lack for inward power to live the righteous life, for God is with me every hour to help me in the strife. Oh, that I might fully trust Him, for I know that He is nigh. He will never leave me helpless. All my needs He will supply. So this is encouraging when we know that if God is expecting that everyone should be righteous. We know what he has said. He says, I am holy, so you must also live a holy life. You can't say that I'm holy or I'm righteous, but you are living an ungodly life. That is not going to work, because God doesn't want anyone who lives an ungodly life and also to say that they are living a righteous life, and that is, not acceptable. That is a false lie. So again, when we think about the righteousness God expects, and it says, verse 4. Let's continue, then we can finish up. It says, verse 4, uh, Psalm 1, verse 4 says, the ungodly are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind driveth away. So we know that when we talk about the chaff, we know the chaff is just husk. It doesn't remain from the wheat or the corn. It just blows away because it's not firm, it's not strong, it's not founded on God's word. And so, therefore, the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. So basically, of course, the ungodly are going to be judged. There's going to be judgment. But when it comes to being in the presence of God, they are not going to be there, because they haven't, lived a godly life. And when you get to heaven, well, I don't know if they will be able to get to the gates of heaven, but they won't be able to get inside, because the only time they will be there is maybe for the judgment, where God is going to say, well, depart from me. Even when the Lord Jesus Christ says in Matthew 7, that not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, you may have Christianity in you, you may speak it, you may have those words, but if there is no righteousness in your life, and if there's no surrender of God's word in your life, then it's not going to work. So it will all be in the wrong place. That's why we have choose life, blessing, curse, heaven, hell, life, death. And of course, God said we should choose life and choose the blessings, because he will bless us. Verse 6 says, for the Lord knoweth the way of the righteous. If God knows the righteous life of people, or the righteousness that we are living, then he's going to reward us, because he knows what we have done, what we have sacrificed. And so as Christians, we have to remember that we need to live righteous life, because God expects us to live a righteous life, and then we will be able to enjoy the blessings, and he will take care of everything that we need. So that is the end of verse 6. It says again, for the Lord knoweth the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish, but the way of the righteous man shall be forever. That's the meaning of the message of this verse that we are reading. So we thank God for what he has brought to our attention, and pray that as we continue to read more of God's word and meditate upon it, we will continue to have a desire that we want to live a righteous life. We don't want to just follow the crowd, or do what others are saying, or even act in a way that puts into question the righteousness that God has given to us. We know what God's word says, so we have to be careful that we are always following what he has given to us, so that we can enjoy the blessings that he has given to us in his holy word. Let us kneel down to pray.